Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And we are now joined by Dr. Laura Garland, again from Charleston, Reiki and Tarot. Exciting to have you here in person on the podcast and live via Zoom. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jill. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. So please introduce yourself to our listeners. You look beautiful, and it's great to have this one-on-one personal contact. I think it just makes for a better energy transfer.
Yes. So I am a Reiki master, a shamanic Reiki master. I also am a life coach, specializing in spiritual life coaching. I do a lot of work with people who have anxiety, trauma, and people who just want to get out of a rut.
Which I think a lot of us do nowadays, right?
Yeah. The last 18 months have kind of put a lot of us in a rut.
An extreme rut. So you must be a very busy doctor these days.
Some, yes. Some people don't know that they don't have to go to counseling to get help.
Mm-hmm.
So my husband's a counselor, so I get a lot of calls for him, and then they're like, he's booked solid through like next June.
Wow.
Yeah. But then I tell them, no, you don't have to have a diagnosable condition. You don't have to go to counseling. You can do something else if you're in a rut. You can see a life coach. And that's what I've been working with a lot of people on. Today, I think I wanted to talk about being an empath during the holidays, because I've actually just had a couple of clients talk to me about this. So how do you know whether you're an empath?
Yeah,
well,
good question.
An empath is picking up on other people's emotions. So naturally, most people do this, but some people are way more sensitive than others. So if you do pick up on other people's emotions, then you have some form of empathy.
Mm-hmm.
How strong it is depends on whether you need to work with it or not. If you can walk into a room that nobody is in and know what the emotions were that were going on in there when the last people were in there, or you could walk into a room blindfolded, not know who's in the room or anything, and still know what the emotions are that are going on, then you're a strong empath, and the holidays can be tough for you.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to be honest. I could feel that when I walk into a room. I never thought about the whole blindfold technique though, but there's been instances where it's just, I don't want to be here.
Right,
and a lot of times it could be at a holiday party, or you feel that you walk over to somewhere and someone's having a conversation and you just know. And it's like, this happened last year at a Halloween party. My neighbor had a Halloween party for the kids, and I walked in, the moms were talking. I walked over and I felt like, oh my God, they were just talking about me. So I'm like, hi. I could feel it. I could sense it.
Oh, I know. And it can just be overwhelming sometimes, because you can end up feeling emotions and be like, why am I feeling this? There's no reason. I didn't wake up wrong today. I actually got sleep last night. Nobody's called and said anything. No wacky texts. And you're just feeling really, usually you notice it when it's some sort of down emotion. When you're feeling really depressed, or an anger emotion that's not yours at all. These type of emotions, it can really throw you for a loop, and you start to think you're crazy, maybe, because but it's not. It's that you're a natural empath picking up on things. If you're especially sensitive, you can get a contact drunk.
What's that?
Without having taken any alcohol or other substances, you can feel just like friends around you who are drunk. But then when you walk out to your car, you're completely sober. And so a contact drunk.
Never heard that terminology. You just taught me something new today. Thank you.
I used to do that in college because I don't drink.
Why drink if you don't have? Yeah, but you could still get the. Yeah.
And then I could just walk out to my car and I had no worries about a DUI because I hadn't had any alcohol.
Yeah.
So
smart girl.
So there are people out there who are that sensitive, and it may be an office party where the politics are really tough, or it could be family. Oh, we got Thanksgiving coming up in
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, a lot of people leave to go to be there on like Wednesday. And so that's 2 weeks. And what are you going to do if you're this strong of an empath? And family's been tough due to the last 18 months. And I know a lot more people are planning on doing Thanksgiving this year than they did last year. So,
Oh my goodness. Yeah. We're just 2 weeks away. Oh my
I know
goodness.
where to go. And so it's just, what do you do? Well, the first thing is you got to stay grounded. You got to be grounded. And that's a really tough thing. We're not taught how to be grounded, but there is a really easy way to actually do it.
Sure.
Pretend you're a tree and grow roots. I'm not kidding. You just pretend you're a tree and grow roots out of your feet. And you just pretend that they're growing down into the earth. And as soon as you do that, you've directed your energy downward. And so you can stay grounded. And that way you don't pick up on, cousin whoever and uncle whoever's argument that they're having, and get, you don't have to pick up on that. If you can ground down, then that can really help you stay more focused, more here in the now. And we hear about staying in the now all the time. It's like a big catchphrase. And so being able to ground down and pull your energy down keeps you right here instead of getting tangled into other people's
web.
And we do have 2 weeks to practice. So you can practice doing that so that when you are at a holiday party, you are with your family, you can ground down. Now, if you happen to go to a place where it's warm out during this Thanksgiving, you can always go out and literally walk into like the lawn or grass or something like that, and just imagine,
feel it, barefoot.
Just really feel it. That's super helpful. But even if you're somewhere up north and it ends up, we have a bunch of snow or something where you are, you can still ground down. Even if you're on the 57th floor of an apartment building in a major city, you can still ground down. It still works. So that's important to know. Practice now so that when you go to the party, you're good to go. Then there's meditate. We talk about this all the time. Meditate. Meditation now, in the next 2 weeks, practicing that can literally shift your brain. University of Massachusetts Medical Center has a group that has been focusing on meditating for, I think it's more than 20 years now.
Okay.
They've been doing a lot of research on it. And John Kabat-Zinn has been part of the group, and he's got a lot of books out there, but they have literally studied this with fMRIs. So, go in and look at your brain, and 3 to 4 sessions of meditation, say about 30 minutes, can literally change your brain, literally change the structure of your brain. There's the amygdala. It relates to emotions, and specifically fight or flight emotions. And so you can actually shrink that so it's not as reactive with just 3 sessions of meditation. That's about 30 minutes.
Okay.
So you can practice that between now and Thanksgiving. And so that way you don't trigger as quickly for the fight or flight stuff with the family, because they all know how to push those buttons.
They sure do. Yeah.
They know exactly what we're going to go.
Why is that? Why does it have to be so difficult?
Because family's that way, and we know each other. And heck, if it's your parents, they put the buttons in there.
Is it possible to have a normal relationship like with your family, parents, siblings without all this? What about tips to start, like, I have a 4 and 6-year-old, so they're young, but I would like for them not to have those types of feelings that I have when I see my family. Is it possible?
It is. It takes a lot of work on the parents' part
Mhm.
to stay present with your child, to not react in ways that where you yell at them when there's no point, no reason.
Mhm.
Not to get that. The children are all empaths. All children are
Mhm.
empaths. We actually shut it down at some point over the age of 7.
Mhm.
And so if you're angry, they'll pick up on it. If you're really upset, they'll pick up on it. And so by staying grounded yourself, by practicing your own meditation, you can keep that out of the relationship with your kids. And
Okay.
if you are angry or upset,
Mhm.
especially if it's not with them, talk to them about the fact that you are, because they know it. They absolutely know it. So if you talk to them about the fact that you're upset, then because they will immediately assume it's them. That's what kids do. They immediately assume it's them. And so if you can tell them it's not them, then that can stop putting some of those buttons in.
Thank you for that. Now, also, you're here to talk about, obviously, let me just point out your website. I don't think we said it off the top yet. Just how can we reach out to you if someone's interested as we're listening during the show?
Sure. Website is charlestonreikiandtarot.com. Direct email, drlaura.coach, that's drlaura.coach@gmail.com, or phone number 843-259-8349.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And of course, you are also known as do I call you a holistic coach, transformational coach?
Sure.
Like, there's a lot to you. So we're talking about this angst and getting rid of it, getting grounded before the holidays, before it's too late. What other advice do you want to share with our listeners today? And of course, offer, what other services that you want to talk about?
Sure. When you're an empath, it's really important to start to learn what's you and what's not you. And that way you don't feel crazy when you pick up on other people's stuff.
Mhm.
So you start to identify when you are feeling emotions, you ask yourself, is there a reason in my life that I'm feeling this way now?
Hmm.
And if there isn't, then very likely it's coming from outside. And we've been so tense these last months. Everything has just been so ramped up and so tense that a lot of people are feeling anxiety, and they swear it's their own anxiety. But really what they're feeling is just the general atmosphere all around them is so anxious. Just going into a parking lot. Lots of people have told me, I get super anxious going into a parking lot before they go into a store. They haven't even gone into a store. They've just driven into the parking lot. And it's because the atmosphere is so tense. It has been easing a little bit recently, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that it eases a little more. But by identifying you and not you, that takes away that worry that you're going crazy.
Yeah. Which we feel that a
because
lot.
that'll
Yes.
just ramp stuff up.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that then it's a matter of, how do you stop feeling this? Because like I said, all children feel it, but somewhere after 7, a lot stop. How does that work? It's a shielding process. So humans literally will shield themselves from other people's emotions. They stop paying attention to them. And a shield of energy, it's an energetic shield, works to keep it away. And so you have to actually take the energy from yourself and imagine literally putting like a shield, like it's Star Trek.
Got it. Okay, perfect. So keep your barrier up. All right. Got it.
You put a barrier up, and you got to remember to make it an egg. It has to go over your head, under your feet, and everything, so that you don't get the and you can set it. You can just, when you push the energy out, you can just think, we don't want any negative emotions getting in, because happy emotions are great.
Yeah.
again, that contact. In this case, it would be a contact happy, because you can get that.
Yeah.
So you want the positive to come in, but not the negative. And so you just literally imagine, like Star Trek, a shield going up around your enterprise, and
True.
or whatever
I like that.
the newest ship is that you're
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
ship.
not. I just a few years ago I started watching them, so I was always like, "What's Star Trek? What's Star Wars?" And yeah, and now I have kids, so yeah, I have to know it.
Yes, you do. Because at some point they'll pick up on it and really want to do it. But yeah, it just putting an egg around you that blocks the negative emotions. And the problem is that as soon as you stop thinking about it, you may let it fall.
Yeah.
So you got to practice. This is another thing to practice before Thanksgiving.
Good.
So practice imagining an egg all around you that keeps out the negative emotions. And you'll have to check it. You got to check it. So when I first started learning to do this, I had triggers all day long. Like when I went through a particular doorway, I check it. When I went to the bathroom, I check it. Went to the water fountain, I checked it. Back in the days when you used to go to the water fountain and not have our bottle of water with us.
Yeah.
Every time I got my car, I checked. And soon I started realizing, I had kept it there and I didn't have to check as much. During sleep, it often falls away. So if you're in a really tense household situation or a really tense neighborhood, you may find your sleep being disrupted, and it's nothing to do with actually any chemicals or anything going on with you. It may literally be your neighbors or your family if you're stuck in a huge house with like every brother, cousin, and everything else that's there. So before you go to bed, you have to really reinforce. And if you do wake up in the middle of the night, check it, put it back out, strengthen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this, because it is, since we're talking about the holidays and being around the family and the stresses of the holiday, how do we get in the right mindset? Because holidays could also be depressing for some of us, right?
Yeah.
And that anxious stress and anxiety. What types of things could we be doing? You mentioned meditation, you mentioned, but it's also could be a hard time mentally for someone, let alone just the stress of having to see everyone. Great point. I'm glad we're talking about this today. What other tips do you have and advice for our listeners out there, that may be suffering during the holidays?
Right. A lot of people do feel lonely during the holidays. Even if they're with family, they can feel lonely. And one of the things that I know works for a lot of people is to have just one person, just one person that you can text or call. And these days, a text is easy, right? That you can just contact and just have a keyword that you can send or something. And then, let them know that they need to send you like some really stupid emoji or something that'll just so that there's that contact. It doesn't have to be intrusive into anybody else's life or anything, but just get with one person to have that back and forth. It is something that has worked for people because a lot of times, friends and everybody go separate ways during the holidays. And so if you just have that contact, that can be really super awesome. Now, another thing that people stop doing during this time frame often is their exercise. Movement is absolutely key for actually keeping your emotions in a good place. So if you're feeling down, actually go do some exercise. That lifts a lot of people. You don't have to go, run 5 miles. You don't have to do that. You can just walk around the block. If you have a treadmill, go get on your treadmill. If you have a park, going out to nature is super helpful. Even if it's cold and snowy, you can still go out. It is super helpful to go out into nature. And that meditation is always helpful.
Got it. All right. Good to know. Thank you for the tips. Seriously, there's so much that goes along with the holidays, the stress, the pressure. But then also, let me ask you this. I don't know if you can help people with this. The overeating aspect. Don't we all kind of let that go?
Yeah, yeah.
How do you?
There's a lot of people who are like, oh, the heck with it. I'm just going to do it. It's only this one time. But this one time ends up like 10 times during the holiday. And so you know, you step on the scale at on January 1st and you're like, oh my God, what happened? And the overeating is something that we do. It's almost a national pastime.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And we have Thanksgiving coming up, and you know, there's great aunt whoever who just makes sure that your plate is so completely filled. And if you don't eat all of it, there is someone in the family who looks at you badly, or says something. And one of the keys that research has found is actually get a smaller plate. Don't get the really huge plate. Get a smaller plate and fill that plate. Don't go back. Don't go back. And that's the key. Do a smaller plate, fill it completely with your Thanksgiving meal, but don't go back for seconds. And if you do, and eat slower, of course, there's always the eat slower that makes you feel fuller. And sure, you can save room for dessert. That's okay. But only have one of the desserts. Don't have all 5 of them at the time.
All right. Yes. Everything in moderation, right? I would say, yeah, for sure.
And the same thing at a holiday party. People want to graze and they don't realize how much they've eaten. So instead, go with the smaller plate, fill it up, go through the line once and eat that. And then after that, have a low calorie beverage in your hand and drink that.
Got it.
Because another thing that happens is people will drink too much alcohol. Alcohol is a lot of calories, lots of calories, and they have not found any good quantity of alcohol for your brain. So,
yeah. Very true. Good point on that. Thank you for the tips. And we still have a few minutes left here. I just want to make sure we're covering. We have 3 minutes left only. Oh my gosh. What else do you want to share with everyone today, Laura?
Well, I want to let people know that if they're having anxiety, if they're worried about what's going on, not only can you get with a friend, but you can have a professional and do some Reiki. So a lot of Reiki practitioners do long distance. I do long distance. You can have that set up. So you don't have to be in the same city with someone. You don't have to be in the same building. Heck, you don't have to be in the same country. True. And you can have that set up if you know that Thanksgiving is going to be one of those Thanksgivings. You can have an appointment set up with someone.
Interesting. Yeah.
To get ahead of time. And
smart idea.
Just have it set, and you don't have to do a full hour. You can do a half hour. And most practitioners will ask that you relax while they're supposed to be working with you. It is helpful. But you can have something like that already set up. You can talk with your family and have them do. A lot of people do a prayer with Thanksgiving dinner. You could extend that a little to a full minute of quiet where everybody just kind of breathes and settles down before they eat. Because relaxing before you eat is good too, because that helps your digestion. If you're all tense, you don't digest well. So if you can get everybody to take it down a notch.
And what do they say when you eat something? How long does it take for the body to process, like your mind to process that you're really full? Because isn't there like a lapse? So that's why we overeat.
Yes. And that's why you eat slower.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't just shovel it in as fast as you can. You chew too. Chewing's important.
Yeah, slow chewing. Yes,
Yes,
yes.
chewing. I know that a lot of the food served at a Thanksgiving table, it doesn't need a lot of chewing, like mashed potatoes or sweet potatoes or whatever your favorite dish is with that. Your cranberry doesn't, they don't need a lot of chewing,
Yep.
but still eat them slowly. And
Aw.
chew your turkey or your ham or your whatever it is that your family uses. And then at holiday parties, fill that smaller plate and eat it slowly.
Yep.
And chew each bite.
Right.
And that way your brain gets that signal quicker.
Great. Dr. Laura Garland, would you mind giving us your best form of contact again?
Sure. Email drlaura.coach@gmail.com. That's DRLAURA.COACH@gmail. And phone 843-259-8349.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us, and looking forward to the next time we speak. Glad I got to see you today.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.